guys, and welcome back to my channel. I'm really excited because today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. I'm going to be updating you guys on my law school experience because a lot of you guys still ask me questions. I feel really bad that I kind of neglect that side of my life. I know this is generally my makeup channel. Some of you guys may not be interested in this, but I do feel like overall you can relate to videos like this if you are in school or if you have a profession. So I feel like a lot of you guys are in college, a lot of you are probably graduating high school, or you're in grad school, or you still don't really know what you want to do with your life, and that's okay because I feel like everyone feels like that, including myself, which is why I wanted to create this video to update you guys on the stuff that's going on with me and let you guys ask me questions via Snapchat. So Miriam LM asked me today, what do you recommend is the best time to take your LSATs? Junior year, senior year of college? I would recommend as early as possible, but not too early. I feel like I'm not gonna lie, I didn't like plan ahead when it came to like the LSATs and stuff, and to be honest, I mean, I had YouTube going on and stuff, so it was kind of a distraction for me, so I wasn't truly taking the LSATs as seriously as I should have at the time. But I did kind of study a little late in the school year, my senior year. If I were you and you are even a freshman in college and you're even considering taking the LSAT and going to law school and you feel like you're really leaning towards that, I would definitely start studying for the LSAT as soon as possible. Like, just buy an LSAT book and just like every week maybe dedicate 2 hours or so to doing like some problems, kind of like you would like a crossword puzzle or something like that. Just kind of set aside some time and start studying for it, because the LSAT is not going to test you on your knowledge. I know that sounds weird, but it's not. It's going to test you on how well you're good at figuring out the way these test makers have created this exam. You kind of have to the only way that I can explain studying for the LSAT is it's kind of like if you've ever played The Sims. You have to build their logic skill up sometimes, like if you wanted to, like they have these little meters and then they just keep reading books and then their logic levels go up, or they keep playing chess and their logic level goes up and level 1, level 2, level 3 until they're like a genius. That's the only way I can explain studying for the LSAT. You have to just continue studying until your logic levels start level 1, level 2, you pass level 3, you pass level 4, and then eventually it's just going to be one of those things where you're going to go into the exam and you're going to have done so many of those problems already that these problems won't be any different. You'll feel more comfortable and you'll just be able to get through with them. And your senior year, you won't feel like I felt, in a time crunch, just like, oh my gosh, I only have this much time, but I have so many other things to do. I remember I had an honors thesis that I had to complete to graduate as well with honors, and I had a bunch of other stuff on my plate. I had so many leadership positions in college as well, and all of that was taking my time, and YouTube was taking a huge chunk of my time as well, so I kind of put the LSATs on the back burner, and I don't want you to, so I would recommend you do that as soon as possible. Alright, so the next question is tips on studying because finals week is approaching. Final exams. This is so funny because I have finals coming up too in a month. It's so crazy. You guys, I think this is the number one question I get asked is tips for studying for finals. Like I said, I feel like this is a general theme for this video, but it's start sooner than later, because I feel like if you procrastinate till last minute to study and to create your study guides, you're just beating yourself up, because I've had those moments even in law school where I waited until last minute and I was working on a 20-page brief the night before, and it was torture. I was literally so tired. I was freaking out, and it's just, you don't want to continue to put yourself in that situation. You shouldn't have to put yourself in that situation. You need to just organize your time. So in law school, what we do is because we only have a final exam at the ending of the semester, so we create what are called outlines. They recommend in law school that you create your outlines starting mid-semester, once you already have a good portion of what you've been studying, all your notes and stuff. And basically it's just a condensed study guide. I'm talking really condensed. You take all of, the rules of law, the small facts of each case, and then you put it together in this outline. Even though it's a condensed version of our notes, outlines usually range from 30 to like 100 pages, not gonna lie. But they're considered condensed versions of what we learned. The equivalent of an outline in college is a study guide, but outlines are different because, like I said, they're so concise. So I guess that's what I would recommend to you, is try to shorten all of the material that you've learned as short as, like, make it as short as possible. Don't try to cram so much in your study guide, because all it's gonna do is it's just gonna confuse you. The more that you have in there, like the more wording you have, just try to create small bullets or small paragraphs of the stuff you've learned, and then hopefully that'll trigger more knowledge in your head. But I feel like if you have a really, really crammed up study guide, it's not going to help you. It's going to hurt you because you have so much information on there. It's not helping you to kind of memorize it in an efficient way, if that makes sense. So I feel like highlighters are so important. But it's the importance of highlighting the right thing, because I feel like if you are highlighting most of the stuff in a book, like on a page, there's something wrong. You should only be highlighting key aspects of what you're studying. Don't highlight everything, because then, like I said, with the really jam-packed study guide, it's not gonna help you. It's gonna hurt you. You want to take away the small, very vital pieces of what you're studying, condense it into a study guide, and then that should trigger all of the other information you learned. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. What I like to do is I like to use different colored highlighters for different things I'm highlighting. So relating this back to law school, I'll use a yellow highlighter to highlight maybe the facts of a case, and then I'll use a pink highlighter to highlight the rules of law. But it helps to kind of differentiate, because then that way you can see, like, the yellow is facts. So, oh, what are the facts here? Oh, let me look at the yellow. Oh, what were the rules of law? Okay, the pink says that was the rule of law. So it helps to differentiate all that stuff. As of the beginning of this year, I haven't really been using a paper planner, but all my college career and most of my law school career, I've used a paper planner. But this year, since it's, you know, the end and it's kind of like I've already gotten used to the workload and stuff, I feel like I could just use my calendar on my phone to document like my homework and stuff like that. And then I also use the sticky notes on my MacBook. So it helps me to prioritize. There's an app called, it's called Stickies, I think, on Mac, and it's like already downloaded onto the Mac if you have a new one, like one of the newer versions, and it basically has different colored sticky notes, and you can put them on your actual desktop, and it's great because I use it to put like my homework. So like if my professor automatically says like, oh, for next week read cases da 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 da, then I'll just real quick just go to my desktop and just type it into the sticky note for that class. I don't know, it really helps me a lot. So I like that app a lot for keeping track of what I have due, because it's like you're always on your computer anyway, and all you do is just see the different stickies and you're like, oh, I have to do that for that class. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm just giving you guys like tips, like little tips and tricks that you can use when you study for finals. How have you dealt with stress from school, and do you have any financial advice for someone struggling to pay for school? I think this is a really, really great question, because stress is something that every student goes through, and I feel like definitely when you're in law school you go through it times 1,000, and it kind of seems like nobody really understands the amount of stress that you're going through. Partially because I feel like most of the time I try to internalize it, because I just know like everyone else isn't going to understand the stress because they're not in law school with me. So I just like keep it to myself, or I only talk to my law school friends about it, or, you know, I'll talk to Julian about it because he understands, because he's been, you know, with me through the whole law school experience, so he gets it. But usually I will internalize, and it ends up being kind of a bad thing, because eventually, you know, a month will go by, I'm good, I've internalized enough, and then one day it'll just explode in front of my face, and then I go through an entire meltdown. And like, do not recommend that. I recommend talking to people if you're stressed out and expressing what it is that's bothering you, because if you internalize it, then you're gonna end up having one of those breakdowns. And to be honest, usually when I have breakdowns like that, I will get sick immediately after. It's so weird. I feel like my immune system just totally like crashes when I have these breakdowns, and then I'm sick for like a week with like a cold. I feel like this last year it's literally been like that. Every time I will have like a breakdown like that, I literally get sick. Or every time I have like a test or a presentation or something really stressful going on, the minute it's over with and it's done, I get sick. I don't know why, but it's like my immune system's trying, and then the minute I finish whatever stressful thing I had to do, it relaxes and I totally get sick. It's so weird. I highly recommend also taking time for yourself, doing something you love. Like for me, it's so great because I have this platform, and this is, for me, it's like my stress reliever because I love doing this and it makes me happy. Being with Julian definitely helps a lot. Like if you have a best friend, or if you have a boyfriend, or if you have family that help you de-stress, definitely make time for them no matter what you're in. I don't care. In law school, they say, oh yeah, you can't make time for your friends there, or you can't make time for your family, so say goodbye to social life. And I'm like, no. I'm like, not that I party or anything, because I'm actually really not that type of person, but I definitely needed my time to, you know, decompress and have my fun, because without that, I think I would have been a whack job by now. And there's nothing more important than protecting your health and your sanity over anything else. So I'm like a huge supporter of like doing what you like for, you know, in your free time, and then going back to work mode after that. And then also, what advice would I give for people struggling financially with school? So it's kind of a sticky topic, I feel like, because I have known people who have had trouble with, you know, school financially and being able to stay at a university, or, you know, just trouble paying for college. Personally, like, I haven't had that issue because, you know, like, I've been lucky enough to have amazing parents that have helped me, you know, pay for college. And then law school, I'm paying for it myself. And, you know, law school, grad school, it gets a lot easier because I feel like going through undergraduate school, it's very difficult, especially if, you know, your parents aren't helping you with your college education, or if they're not even in the picture and you're the only one helping yourself pay for your college education. Because I feel like, at least in the United States, the FAFSA is really messed up, in my opinion. I don't usually like talking about like my political beliefs and stuff, but I honestly feel like the government should really change the way that the educational financial system is run, because the fact of it is that there are a lot of people that pay for college on their own, but yet the FAFSA still requires them to provide their parents' information, their parents' income, and a lot of the times these people don't even know what their parents' income are, or can't get their parents' financial documents because they're not even living with them anymore, or they're just not in the picture point blank. And so what do those people do? Those people don't end up getting the funds that they need from school because they weren't able to fill out that government financial aid form because of those requirements that it makes you have to submit. My suggestion for you, if you're in a situation similar to that, would definitely be to try to find money elsewhere. There are so many scholarships out there, and I know people say this all the time. There's scholarships, there's grants and stuff like that. But I know the only reason that a lot of people don't fill these things out, me included, is because we don't want to write the essay. We don't want to get the documents together. We don't want to get our transcript. We don't want to submit this stuff. It's like too much work, right? I think I have, the sun is like, let me fix now. Okay, so anyway, because the sun's going down and it's like in my face. But yeah, so I highly would recommend you to fill out some scholarships, because the truth of it is, because most of us are too lazy to fill out scholarships, there's a lot of money just sitting there because so many of us aren't filling them out. And I know this for a fact because when I was in law school, one of my mentors was like, hey, there's a scholarship, you should, you know, apply for it, because I'm part of the board and nobody has really applied for it, and so I think you'd be a good candidate for it, so I definitely think you should apply. And I was like, okay, and because, you know, my mentor told me, I was like, well, I feel like, you know, I have the responsibility to apply for this thing, but I didn't think I was going to get it, and what do you know? I ended up getting it. So that's the reality of it, is there's tons of money just sitting there, and there's a lot of people like you and me who are just like, I don't want to fill this out. It's too much of my time. I have so much other things to do. But the truth is, if you fill it out and you do a great job at it, you may actually get some of this money that's just sitting around. And then also there are other things that you could possibly do. There are hardship letters that you could write to school officials, things like that. And there are also payment plans, I know. And also there is the option of, starting out in community college. If that's what it takes, you should definitely take that route, because I know some community colleges are a lot more lenient when it comes to loans and taking out loans. So they understand that a lot of people don't have their parents to help them, so they have specific loan programs that they have for those people, and that's how you'd be able to start out at community college. And if you do really well, and you get really good grades and everything, you could transfer to a university and they might even give you a grant, or they might even pay for, an entire semester or a year or something like that. So it's definitely up to you what you want to do. There are to me, I feel like it's a small pool of options that you have if you're struggling financially with school, because of what I told you guys, because of the FAFSA stuff. If you're in the United States, I'm not sure about other countries, but to me it is really messed up, but there are some options out there, so definitely dig for them, do as much as you can, and just try your hardest not to give up, because school is one of the most important things in our society today. Because the reality of it is, if you only have a high school education, you are not going to make as much as a person who has a college education. That's just the reality of it. And honestly, the lower class is growing, the middle class is shrinking, and there remains only 1% of the entire population that is, the richest of all. So I definitely think that college will help to widen the middle class once again, and help us to, I guess, stabilize our economy, because there's so much poverty. Education is, the shining light at the end of that tunnel to get away from that. And I truly believe that. So not only that, but it also will help you contribute something positive to society. If you're well educated and you have knowledge of what's going on in this world and how this world works, you will be able to effectuate positive change. So I truly believe that you should definitely continue to reach for, the highest education you could possibly get, because that's what's going to, change your life. It's going to make your future better. It's going to make your children's future better. And it'll just make you financially stable overall. So just really quickly going off of that question that I got, I think it's important for me to kind of talk more about the financial process when it comes to graduate school and law school. It does get a lot easier after undergrad to acquire loans and stuff, because the government does see you as an adult, and if you have a good credit history, then you will be eligible to take out loans on your own without having to use your mom or dad as co-signers, etc. Most students in grad school and law school will take out loans to pay for their education.